Hello, racers, and welcome back to yet another episode of Race in Review. We missed one race, which was Austria, but of course we made a prediction. So in this episode, we will briefly talk about Austria, and of course we'll talk all about the Great Britain Grand Prix and the amazing horrendous aftermath from that. My name is John and I'll be your host today, and I'm joined by, of course, the man with the best hair in the business, wearing white like a proper Ferrari driver. It's James.
Hello, how's it going?
Hi, mate. I see a little bit of a splash of red on your shirt, though.
There's a splash of red on there, but it's not Ferrari apparel. Sorry. I wouldn't wear that in public, to be fair.
No, it's not the best time for either of us to wear our supporting team in public, I'm afraid. You know what you can wear in public these days? Orange.
Orange, yeah.
Joining us for his second appearance on this show is none other than Graham Homer, wearing a full McLaren kit. Graham, how you doing, buddy? You must be feeling well.
It's been a good 2 weeks for me as a Lando fan and a McLaren fan. I cannot complain at all. So, been good. Got to rep the team.
Yeah. So, did you start your own Castori store yet there or something?
No, there's one up the road, so it's pretty good. I can just nip in.
I hope it's less expensive than the Red Bull merchandise from Castori, though, because that's been the poorer Red Bull starts to perform, the more expensive the merchandise gets, apparently.
It's about the same price, but they've removed all the Red Bull stuff. There's only Alpine and McLaren left.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. People in the UK don't really like Red Bull currently, right? Guys, there's so much to talk about. There's so much we missed. So much we have to discuss. Shall we first start with a quick, throwback for the Austria Grand Prix?
Yeah, we should do that.
We did make some predictions there.
Yeah.
Safe to say, Red Bull isn't winning the championship anymore. It's also safe to say that we all scored 1 point in our prediction. Well, maybe not. So, James, just coming back to you. You said that Piastri would take pole position.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Who got pole position?
I don't have that on screen.
Oh, Graham knows. Graham, this was
Max,
a test.
Yeah. I thought it was Piastri.
I can't remember now.
It's Piastri.
Yeah.
You got a point there.
Yeah.
You also said that Piastri would win.
Yeah.
Did he?
Which obviously he didn't.
No. It was Lando's fight back.
Yep.
And you said the first DNF was Stroll. Well,
who didn't even DNF. He scored points even.
Well, don't beat that. And
we
haven't even talked about.
I'm looking at the British Grand Prix results. No, he didn't score points, but he didn't DNF.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the British Grand Prix, he performed really well. Driver of the day, if it wasn't for Nico Hulkenberg, though. But that leaves you with 1 point, James.
Yeah.
Right. The other one discussed was Graham. Graham says Piastri would get pole position. Well, guess what? He did. So well done there. Other one, you said the first DNF would be Carlos Sainz. You were so close. Except the gun official did not start at the end of the race. That doesn't count, unfortunately. And James could know because he always gets these things wrong when they DNS. He always predicts it right and then it counts as a DNS. So.
Yeah, didn't I get that was it in Australia at the start of the season?
Yeah.
I've definitely had one.
2 last season, I remember.
Yeah, oh no. DNS.
Unfortunately, Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli got a DNF in this race and nobody predicted that.
No.
Well, let's not dwell upon that, shall we? But that leaves you with 1 point as well, Grim. I said Max would get pole, and he didn't. I did say that Lando would win. So, hey, there's a point for me. And I said that Gasly would be the first DNF, which he didn't either. So, 1 point for all of us, making it so that the current score is 11 for me, 6 for James, and 1 for Grim. But we said until we're sort of recapped, you get double points. So that's 2 points for you.
Okay, thank you.
You can run in a little bit. Then we go into the British Grand Prix. Or is there anything you guys want to discuss upon for the Austria Grand Prix. Did Kimi Antonelli deserve penalty points, James?
Yeah, it was a bad mistake. So yeah, deserved the penalty points. It was just a rookie's error, wasn't it? He's a rookie, made a rookie's error. I don't think there's much else to say about that, really. It's like he forgot he was on lap 1.
Yeah, he heard about a clause in Max's contract and thought he'd help that a little bit.
Yeah, I got the call from
Dar Toto.
Execute Order 66. Or Execute Order 33.
33 it's called, yeah. That's unfortunate, but yeah, my race was sort of done by the first... I know I got a couple of friends who were actually at the Austria Grand Prix, because you have the Max Verstappen stand, which is in the final turn. They didn't see him. Well, they did 2 warm-up laps, so that's when they saw him.
Yeah.
But apparently the F2 was really good. Great. Anything you want to take off from the Austria Grand Prix?
Did we see the start of Oscar's decline? Obviously, when Lando got in front of him, he was very impatient trying to get by. Got that turn, couldn't make it stick, and then was it corner 4? He darted in and almost took both of them out.
So then, it was turn 4 that, yeah.
And then he got a brief warning over the radio from Zach not to try that again. And then obviously with this weekend, his whole mental attitude seems to be on the way down a bit, where Lando seems to have come over this bubble that he had, doubting himself.
Yeah, I think that's a good discussing point to start off with, because James, we thought Lando has lost it after his incident in Canada. We said championship looks a little bit over if it goes like this. Okay, I'm making
No, you did.
I did.
But
Lando,
there was, I suppose there was some kind of exaggerated conversations about is Lando's season over? Are they going to start introducing team orders for Piastri? I didn't think that would happen, because this is all it was going to take, was like a turnaround of 2 or 3 results, and the championship is suddenly very, very tight again. Yeah, Oscar in Austria looked a little bit rattled. I think he was just disappointed to lose out on having pole position and then not converting that. He did make a couple of slightly desperate moves. There's also that atrocious run-in with Colapinto, who just had zero awareness. And I don't know if that's entirely on Colapinto. Well, it's partly on Colapinto, obviously, but what's his team doing there? Not like warning him that he's got somebody like a lap up.
I'm sorry, but I think everyone already abandoned Colapinto. Well, everyone's abandoning Alpine, actually. But they all, I think his engineer's also taking a break already. Cause
yeah, I felt pretty bad for Piastri there, because he was slowly trying to rein in Norris, and then the gap kept sort of fluctuating depending on who had traffic with back markers or whatever. But I mean, Piastri was almost taken out of the race by somebody receiving a blue flag. That just should not happen. So yeah, that was obviously probably quite frustrating for him as well, and probably added to this sort of snowball effect, which I imagine is going through his head right now, of just a really bad run that he needs to snap. Because I suppose we'll start talking about the British GP in a minute. Obviously, things didn't quite go his way there either. So
yeah,
he's normally very cool and calm, and seems quite. He couldn't really be more horizontal unless he was laying down. But he's starting to show some cracks, and I think it's obviously the weight of the championship as well, isn't it? Because it's pretty clear that it's going to be a McLaren driver winning the championship. And
if you look at Graham, I'm a little bit unsure though. But
it's like 2014, 2015, 2016 with Hamilton and Rosberg. they're staying quite friendly at the moment. At some point, this is maybe not explode, but they can't stay friends when they're championship contenders.
Well, it felt more like shaking hands because they have to instead of being happy already.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I mean. They're in competition mode now. They're not in friend mode. So, but yeah, that's probably what's weighing on Piastri's mind, is that he can see that this is a great shot to win the world championship, and it could potentially be his only shot. Like this happens in Formula One. I mean, look at for example, Barrichello with Button in the Brawn. Like sometimes a driver gets one shot like this. So obviously, they're not thinking, oh, if I don't get it this year, I've got a chance next year. So there's a lot of weight on their shoulders. The future, obviously, who knows what will happen with the order of the competition next season and whether McLaren still have a great car. So, yeah, I think fireworks are going to start happening in the next probably like 2 or 3 races, I think.
Yeah. Talking about fireworks, Graham, and Piastri. Wasn't Piastri just angry at himself for getting in my opinion, deserved penalty? And we'll see what you guys think about the penalty he got from behind the safety car. And does this set a precedent for the future safety car situations?
For me, it's deserved. I'm not going to try and use tinted specs and say it was whatever. He was supposedly flagged for the first time he done it. I know this is his defence, was that he wasn't flagged the first time, but supposedly the stewards and the race team were looking over everything from the first one, and then he does it again. And I know he's trying to use the whole, well, Russell didn't get anything, but what was it, doubled PSI of Russell, like far steeper drop in speed, and then top of that, in the red room at the end of the race where the free podium driver go in, I've completely forgot the name of the room. Hulk even said to him, yeah, but you done that, you caused all us to then back up and try and avoid. So it was completely deserved, and I think it is shown to start to show that this whole camp persona is really on thin ice at the moment for him.
You agree, James? Deserved penalty, and did he do it to himself?
You two think it was deserved, and I'm going to be the one who thinks it's not. But there were, yeah, I think it was not deserved just because he did the exact same braking and deceleration multiple times behind the safety car on that straight. I think a mitigating factor should have been that the safety car was declared to be coming in at the end of the lap very, very late. It was already more than halfway down that final straight, which basically gave him one corner to create a gap. And that one corner is a corner that he's probably going to want to accelerate before reaching. So he's going to want to start the race effectively before that corner, because it is a high-speed corner, and that's an opportunity for him to gap the car behind him. So I think race control created this problem by deciding the safety car would come in so late on the lap. I think they should have either given him more warning, which would have completely avoided the situation because everybody would have known with plenty of warning, or just giving it one more lap. But if you look at his data traces, he did the exact same speeds, the exact same brake pressure, the exact same deceleration multiple times on that straight. And if you look at it compared to Max's, the only time Max gets seemingly caught out is by him not applying the same amount of brake pressure that he did on previous laps. So in some ways, it feels like Max has exaggerated what happened a little bit when you look at the brake traces and the speed traces between the two of them. Hulk saying that it caught out the rest of the pack, I disagree with a little bit. If you look at the onboard of...
I think the difference is also you can't see anything on the second attempt.
Well, no, but if you look at Russell, who was in like 8th place, didn't cause him any problems. You look at Ocon, who was right near the back of the pack, didn't cause him any problems. I just think it was very, very harsh considering the exact same pattern had happened multiple times, and they gave zero warning effectively to the lead driver that A, he was going to take over, and B, gave him no space to perform a restart. So I thought it was very harsh, and I think it was harsh because personally I think race control screwed up by making that call so late in a lap.
I think it's a good way of building your statement in this, honestly. And I can see that point. Although we all know that you actually can't accelerate and decelerate really hard behind the safety car.
Well, they all do that because
but you cannot
way to get.
I saw this. Sorry, I agree. They all do that, and it's the same with driving slowly out of the pits, and you can't stand still. But still, people are standing still, but they're not giving a penalty for it. And we had Max and Russell having an incident not so many races ago in the same way. And I think sometimes they're very harsh and overtakes. For example, they set a precedent there and then go from there. But these are clear rules which they don't seem to follow up. And then when they do follow up on it, and that's why I find it to be deservingly so, there's no strict point in that because there's no reference to it. So that's why, do we give a 5 or 10 second, or what do we do?
Then it becomes a consistency issue, and I can understand Piastri's frustration at the end of the
race.
That's
where I agree with him.
I did that multiple times during the race, never got a warning or a penalty for those, and suddenly I get it on this one. So I can understand Piastri and potentially McLaren, or at least his side of the garage, being frustrated by that because, he did the same thing multiple times, and then on that one restart, he gets called out for it and gets a 10-second penalty, which is obviously, to compound that, he had like a 13-second lead before that safety car as well. So he had the time in hand for that penalty if it hadn't happened behind that safety car, whatever. So, yeah, I think this is just another case of the race control and the stewarding being inconsistent, maybe not very transparent, and just kind of just out of nowhere being harsh on something when you wouldn't expect them to be.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think probably Max selling it with the braking. He didn't.
Max even said to the stewards after the race it was too harsh. So
yes, and then Max spinning. I think those two things contributed because it was that same restart when Max ended up spinning and losing a bunch of places. I think they punished him for a result of the safety car restart rather than what he did in the safety car restart. That's my take on it. That's how it looks to me.
Graham?
Max did say, obviously, like you said, it was severe, but he also said that him spinning out was nothing to do with the restart. It was just the conditions. But I think this leads back to race control really need to get more control over the race, in a sense. When we're back in Barcelona, Max having to give the place back when they really didn't have to give the place back, and it caused a whole incident that really didn't need to happen. They said supposedly they were looking at the first or the second incident, so Oscar slowing down too severe, but then doing nothing about it, saying nothing about it, and then causing it to then happen into this incident. So maybe it's about time that the FIA have a bit of a look here and go back to the old way where the teams can talk to us and get an understanding where the rules are, or they have to just straight away dip in and go, Oscar can't be doing that first time. Here's a warning, don't do it again. Then if he does it again, like he did do, 2-3 different times, then you can go, third time, mate, we've told you already, rein it in, you've not 10 seconds, and then this sort of conversation is sort of null and void because we know what's going to happen. But again, it's James said it as well, race control could have made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's where the main issue lies, right? Like my issue with most of the rules these days, and we've had several conversations about that, James, is
Yeah.
that the fact we know what the rules are on paper, but they aren't being followed. And sometimes they are followed extremely harsh when you don't expect
Yeah.
them to be followed. And consistency is the main issue. And if I look at a safety car situation, there's a couple of things. I mean, you can't accelerate and then suddenly brake. That's dangerous behavior. So that from that point of perspective, I totally get the issue here. The other thing you can't do is leave more than 10 cars gap between it or something.
I mean,
I
how do
mean,
they even measure that? I mean, they look on you watch it on camera sometimes. It's like they've braked to warm their tires up, and now they're 20 car lengths behind.
exactly, yeah.
It's like they just ignore that rule. It's weird.
And that's fine, but then remove the rule, because now sometimes people say, but he's so far ahead or he's leaving a gap or whatever. That's what happens when you have, like, if you would have McLaren 1 and 2, you could have had those situations in safety car restarts.
Yep.
That's why they probably implemented it back in the Mercedes days, right? Just to make sure the number one just can't get away in the rain easily after every safety car. And then there's this pit stop thing where I'm always like, come on, guys, you know the fast lane. If you take one wheel over the fast lane, just stuff like that, it just bugs me out. They should be consistent in that. Sometimes a block is a block, nothing happens. Sometimes a block is, say, 3 penalty points or 3 place penalty for the next race. What happens during qualifying? But you can still qualify second and get 3 places for the next race and ruin someone else's qualifying. So there's a lot of inconsistency in the way the rules are applied lately. And not lately, it's been for years. But that is, and I still find it bothering because, Graham, as a football fan, you know, when you have the VAR and there's a mistake happen, you see a replay of the mistake and they explain what's wrong here. They draw a line or they explain it. In Formula One, at least at the coverage I'm watching, there's not much explaining, and you're more of dependent on who does the commentary to see if you should agree on this or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I said, it's consistency and transparency, something that we're supposedly meant to be getting with Sullivan in charge, which has never really happened whatsoever. So even if we did have a bit of a feed, or the broadcasters could get a feed where race control can let shows live why they've decided something would be nice. But even if they could just, like I said, start with being consistent and dealing with incidents there and then rather than letting them linger, would be so much better.
Yeah, I agree. And even these reports that they then put out, like at the end of the race or whatever,
they come out 3 hours later than the race as well, right?
And they're not necessarily useful to the fans, because like that example with Piastri where it's like, oh, he braked at almost 60 psi and his deceleration was however much, and it's like everyone seems to be like hyper focused on that, and
that's the way they write it, right? To make sure you have to focus on that. So,
but they don't kind of they don't flesh that out to say like is that like really that's just a number. Like how much psi do they put through the brake pedal when they're braking hard into turn 1 or wherever? It's going to be more than 60 psi. I'm pretty sure they brake almost down up to like 100. Do they not?
How hard can you brake on your sim?
I wouldn't want to discuss that. But like it's just a number, and where does that fit with previous laps? What's normal? What happens in a race? Like everyone's kind of focused. Oh, 60 psi, that's a lot. Wow, he must have been braking really hard. But was he really? Well, I mean, the report makes it sound that way. So, this again is like we've been saying, transparency is the issue, and like Graham just said, it would be great if they would explain more, even if it's have effectively a note taker in the stewards room, and when they're discussing what to do with the penalty, they can be making some notes, and they can issue effectively a live statement to the commentary teams to kind of get that across to the viewers on why they've made a decision, and if they could go into a little bit of detail, I think that'd be really nice, because like I just said, saying 60 psi, what's 60 psi in the grand scheme of things, we don't necessarily know without something to actually kind of gauge that against, which we don't get in these reports. So Yeah, consistency, transparency, better communication, but it's all things that we've been asking for, or at least, I mean, me and you have been talking about this for I don't know how long, haven't we, John?
I mean, consistency in this podcast don't always get along lately, but
Well, we've got reasons. We've had reasons. And we don't
so I'm
get
the last
paid.
one
It's
to
not
say
how it's
something
go.
about that one.
Yeah, although to be fair, the stewards don't get paid either, do they? So, yeah.
No, that's also true. All right, enough about the penalty. I think we do have a championship fight on our hands, and I'm looking forward to the
100%.
next race, which of course is the best race in Formula One. Unfortunately, it's the last time I see it for the next 2 years. But hey,
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah.
let's not go into that topic before I get extremely emotional about that one. Guys, I want to talk about someone special, someone dear to my heart. He's Dutch speaking. He's very good looking. He is very fast, and he actually drives a green car. James was thinking about someone else, I think, here. Nico Hulkenberg.
The Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk. My goat. He did it. A podium for Hulkenberg. James, I
Finally.
was so sorry, but I really hoped Hamilton didn't make it. I was actually cheering against Hamilton this weekend, although he drove an excellent race. So
I was in like two minds, because part of me is like, come on, Hulkenberg, get your podium finally. But then the other part of me was like, hang on a minute, Hamilton's got an amazing, like, almost unheard of streak at his home Grand Prix with podiums. Please don't let that end. So
no, but it was Hulk.
yeah, it was a great race from Hulkenberg. It was great for Sauber. I mean,
More points than Red Bull. We'll come back to that topic soon.
Will we? Or should we just cover that now briefly? Like, Hulkenberg has outscored Max Verstappen over the last 4 races.
No, Kick Sauber outperformed the whole of Red Bull in the last 4 races.
Yeah. It was just phenomenal. This is why the British Grand Prix can never disappear from the calendar, because even in July, like this, that is kind of normal weather. Like, just completely random showers. It can be 30 degrees one day, and then it's 22 and raining or less, you know, like it. And the mixed conditions, especially when it's warm like that, where like the track can and will dry very, very quickly. It did the same last year. It was great. So yeah, Hulkenberg and Sauber got it right. Were they one of the teams that took a gamble?
Yes, started 19th.
Yeah, and they moved on to the soft slick very early. Did they do that? I think Hulkenberg did that, did he not? And that's one of the things that made up a lot
Graham
of time
always knows these things. Did he not?
I can't remember at the start. I know at the end that when the engineers were saying that everybody's moving to slicks, and he was like, "No, hold off." He wanted the team done really well to listen to him when he's saying, "No, listen, the track's not ready yet. Let them all make the mistake. We're holding off," and that paid off. So credit to them to actually listen to the driver, because a lot of teams were quite sharp at saying, no, this is what we're telling you. Get in, get the slicks, and then it all backfired.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc can talk about that one.
Exactly.
Well, Hamilton went for the undercut, and he ended up losing about 6 to 8 seconds on Hulkenberg by doing that. So
although spun off twice almost, by the way. So,
yeah, the commentary, the commentary in the UK at least were very sort of, why are they all moving to slicks now? Can't they see that it's a bad idea? And just kind of looking at all the teams suddenly coming in, including McLaren, who had such an advantage, making the decision to pit. And the commentary basically thinking it seemed like a gamble. And Hulkenberg left it one more lap, and that single lap just seemed to be enough for the slick tyres to be able to come out of the pits and pretty much just work immediately. The lap before, we saw Hamilton come out on the soft tyres. He went wide in turn 3, carried on struggling pretty much for the rest of the lap. Like we said, lost like between 6 or 8 seconds on Hulkenberg when he was like half a second behind him when he decided to pit. So Yeah, Sauber just absolutely nailed it. And Hulkenberg, he just proved why he's still a Formula One driver and why
Or
he's
Red
been
Bull should
this.
have taken him 2 years ago.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we talked about that, and it was rumored at one point, wasn't it? And he
Max
disappeared.
actually recommended him, right?
Yeah, he disappeared from the grid for a couple of years, and it just proves that he is capable and he does deserve to see Formula One. The only thing that's kind of hampering him is the car that he's in. But
Audi next year, mate.
Exactly, he might be thinking the bigger picture. He's going to be effectively a works team next year. So whether Audi come out the gates flying, well, obviously that's yet to be seen. But yeah, just phenomenal race by Hulkenberg.
Gonna ask Graham this. Graham, can I do a little bit more of shit stirring, or should I just continue with the professional questions?
There you go.
Why did Max celebrate with Nico, but all the McLaren drivers just ran away from him on the podium?
Oh, they did celebrate with him. That's harsh. I've seen that clip getting bounded about. So
I am joking. Everyone looking at the video clip, this was a joke. I saw so much comments about it. I was like, what, did they actually? No. But no. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Lando did say that because the trophies were Lego, he didn't want a repeat of breaking anybody's trophies, especially Nico's, with it being his first one. So he moved to the side so he could smash the bottle.
This one you can actually rebuild.
Well,
if it was ever safe for him to do it, it was this time.
Exactly, but he's been more cautious this time, and then obviously people just framed it as Oscar was being very bratty. When Nico came into the, what's that red room called again? The podium room. The cooldown room. I forgot what it was called. So when he came in,
well, it definitely cooled down when they were there with the two of them. Oscar
was just so off of him. Nico was trying to talk to him, and he was just like meh, meh. And obviously, Nico saying, "Well, you broke. You caused us issues, whether or not the cameras show that to be." But then, but Lando was a good sport. When he noticed Nico had left his helmet out, he brought it in with him and everything. And he was trying to talk away from him. So that whole wee clip's just been badly distorted.
I
felt sorry for. I do feel for Piastri because drivers get out of the car after something's gone wrong, and it's the heat of the moment. Adrenaline's still pumping, and it's tough. I mean, they're fighting for effectively their dream, aren't they? At this point, not Max this year. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that. No, he just
had Norris and Piastri.
Shall we do a solo show together, like a duo show together, Graham, next week? Because James is just having it all.
I mean, look. I'm a Hamilton fan, and now I have to be a Ferrari fan because he's a Hamilton. I haven't exactly got it good either, John.
Mate, I'm going to be a Mercedes fan next year.
Yeah. How are you going to feel about having Toto be the team principal of your?
I kind of dig that, honestly.
Oh, do you? Because at one point you.
No, I mean the stirring between these between Horner and Toto was pure entertainment, and they both play the game as they should play the game, I think, and they're both honestly extremely good at it. And so is Zach Brown, and I find it refreshing, for example, to see Binotto this weekend, honestly. And I feel a little bit for Vasseur, for example, because he's also very good at it in a more charming way, but he's just getting punch after punch after punch, right? Although they're not performing really bad because the actual Ferraris are doing pretty good, maybe second of the pack currently.
Second or third,
Yeah, but we do have to talk about, I think, Max for second. Also in pole position with the high downforce low downforce take. Basically making an undrivable rocket into a, pretty much more undrivable rocket that goes a little bit faster, which got him the pole, which is a magnificent performance. The moment there were raindrops on Sunday, I was like, this probably is not going to end well. And it didn't. I mean, car's just undrivable when you put it up like that for a wet race, right?
Yeah. I mean, we saw him basically rally driving through Maggots, Beckett's through those nice.
Looked good though in
high,
slow-mo.
Oh yeah, through those nice high-speed S's. Yeah, yeah. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? We're chasing a setup, and especially when the forecast is mixed. I think. Yeah,
It's just a gamble and lost. Eh?
It was a gamble, and I think they were just praying that they got a dry race day, even though it wasn't 100% guaranteed. And then at one point in the morning, it was torrential rain, but they were forecasting that there'd be no more rain after 2 p.m. local time, and the race didn't start until 3. So there was an hour for the track to dry out, potential to be starting on slicks and then just have a dry race. And obviously, that's not at all how the race panned out. We had a wet start, we got more rain during the race, and that just completely threw Red Bull and Max's plan out the window. So it was just bad luck, really. They just went in a direction.
Yeah, it's just a gamble. I mean,
and they rolled the dice and they got it wrong. That's just the way it is.
It is currently with Red Bull is you either do the other side of the coin, you try hard on a different strategy or a different setup, and you get it right because Max is able to drive that, or you do the regular path and you can't win either.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's basically it. Who also can't win, Graham, is Christian Horner.
Nope, not at all.
Fresh from the press, I'd say. Just before we recording this podcast, he got sacked after 20 years of loyal service. Well, service.
Well, garden leave, is it not? Or administrative leave? Because the wording is he's been removed from operational duties. Yeah. So, not officially gone from the company, but no longer doing any working. So, be interesting. But since obviously then, 2 o'clock, we heard that 2 of his right-hand men have been removed as well, after supposedly Paul Smith being in an altercation with Max's dad, which Horner had intervened in. So it's all exploding now.
Yeah. I think racing director Alan Perman will be team principal at AlphaTauri. Racing Bulls now. Yeah. And Lauren Mackey is going to Red Bull. What do you think about
it? It's quite a career path he's been on the last few years.
Mackey's, you mean?
Yeah, where
from engineer to
gone from Ferrari, went to team principal at Racing Bulls.
Did well there though, honestly.
He did do very well there, yeah. And it seemed like he moved there from Ferrari because I think he was hoping for the team principal job that ended up going to Fred. So he's maybe a little bit disgruntled. And now obviously he's gone up to. He's just been thrown up to the top of Red Bull. So I think he's a good pick. Just like you just said, he's done very well at Racing Bulls. They've got a great car. They've got a great team. They've got a great atmosphere.
Red Bull doesn't though.
Red Bull doesn't, but everything starts at the top, doesn't it? So yeah. I think he's a great pick, and it's going to take a while for things to settle because I mean, we've been chatting about this on Discord, and Graham said the same. This isn't going to be over today. Like there's going to be more stuff happening, whether it's more people leaving or what. Because obviously, Horner is part of the foundations of that team, and I think if you remove him, you're going to lose potentially other people as well, whether it's through people being removed or them just leaving because they disagree with a choice that's been made. But in some ways it's a shock and in some ways it's not, because if you look at what's happened to Red Bull over the last couple of years, if this had been any other team and any other team principal other than Horner, I think they would have gone quite a while ago, really. And I think the main reason why Horner it's taken this long for him is just because he's been there from the start, and he's such an integral part of the team, and like I said, he's effectively a part of the foundations of the team. So it is a difficult thing to remove him, I would imagine. So, but at the end of the day, Formula One is about performance, and if performance isn't there, something's got to change, or someone's got to go, or whatever it is. If it's something physical on the car, they change it. If it's something in the team, they remove them, or they change it, or they promote somebody, or whatever. So, I think part shocked, part not. It's a weird one, this one.
Graham, how much did Max Verstappen have to do with this?
I don't know.
I'm giving in the fun questions though.
I don't know. I think Jos is more responsible, if anybody. So, from what I've been reading, it seems that Jos had a fight with Paul Smith. Horner had to get involved. Jos wasn't happy again with Horner sticking his nose in business that didn't have anything to do with him. He's went to Helmut Marko, who's obviously very pro Max. And then from there, the battle lines have been drawn. But it's been sort of fractious for a long time because you've had the two sides. Horner's been backed by the Thai side, while Max is backed by the Austria side. And they've been at it for how long now? But we were saying in Discord that it's been a mess for a long time. That we're talking about obviously Michael's getting the job. Jonathan Wheatley left to get the team principal job. He was pretty much sniffing around hoping that Christian would leave, especially with the talks with Ferrari 2 seasons ago. Was it 3? And then obviously you've got Rob Marshall that's went to McLaren. We've got
Newey leaving.
He's away as well. But the team's a mess. Everybody's just going.
Paul Smith's gone as well.
Yep.
So he's the director of communication? I think so.
He's the communications director, and Oliver Hughes is it Paul Hughes or Oliver Hughes? Oliver Hughes.
Oliver Hughes is the chief marketing, yeah.
Yeah, he's away as well.
Yeah. So Max Verstappen's team of Max Verstappen management says nothing will change. But James, Max seems pretty cool about all of this happening lately. He's not been really vocal about everything, just that there's no way of winning the championship. He doesn't seem too frustrated outside of the car, but that car must be very frustrating. Do you think he'll jump ship? Well, name a percentage. How big is the percentage he'll leave this year?
Are we talking about the end of this season?
This season, yes.
This season, I think what's happened today actually reduces the chance of that happening, personally. So, if it was just Horner going, my take on that, and this is how I read it first thing this morning, as we're recording this, is that Red Bull have lost Max, and somebody's head has got to roll, and it's got to be somebody at the top, and it's finally Horner's turn, because the car's been garbage. They haven't managed to turn it around, and ultimately that's cost them a generational talent in Max Verstappen, the best driver in the world at the moment. Now that we're seeing 2 more people leave as well, that actually kind of makes me lean the other way and think that Max isn't going and that they are making changes to accommodate Max. Now, whether this is coming directly from Max or whether this is more Jos, I don't think it's Max. I think Max is he's very professional as a race driver, in that really that's his only focus. He's not interested in the politics. He's not interested into team fights. He's not. He doesn't
even go to the movies.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't even particularly take sides, other than when Marco was looking at one point like he was going to get let go. Was that?
Yeah, he's definitely taking Marco's side. You can't touch Marco without losing Max.
He backed Marco 100%, and then all of that kind of died down. But otherwise, Max doesn't really say a lot. His dad, on the other hand, often has a lot to say. So I feel like I don't know what the conversations are like between Max and his dad. I mean, obviously Max has said that he wants his dad there and he wants him in the garage, and he wants him around, or needs him around. But Jos does rock the boat, and he doesn't seem to be the sort of person that holds back. He is, if he's got something to say, he'll just say it, and he'll say it to whoever wants to listen.
It doesn't sound like a Dutchman, though.
Yeah, including the person that he's thinking about, he'll just say it to him. So, yeah, Max leaving. I think the chances of him leaving at the end of this season or during this season, basically announcing it, I think that's now slim. Yeah, that's my take on it. I'd be interested to hear what Graham thinks.
I sort of agree with you. I thought he would have been more inclined to go with Mercedes, but after the news today, if what we're reading is true, right enough, so it's take everything with a pinch of salt, but if it is what we're reading, that basically the Austrian side has been pro Max and against Christian and all his people, and they finally persuaded the Thai side of the business to back them. And Christian, like I said, Christian's gone, his right hand man, Paul Smith's gone, Oliver Hughes is gone. Supposedly there was a lot of tears and a lot of anger in Milton Keynes, a lot of people threatening to walk today. I reckon Max will stay. They'll rebuild the team with him exactly what he wants. So he's going to be the even bigger MVP in the business for them. Everything's going to be centered around keep Max happy, keep him here. So I'd say we're probably more 70% he's staying now.
So we get Sebastian Vettel in. We get Coulthard in as a communication advisor, marketing guru.
Is that going to be wise? They've lost, like I said, they've lost Wheatley, they've lost Marshall, they're losing Courtney, they're losing so many experienced guys. They've lost Newey, and they're replacing them with internal promotions, and so far it's failed. So would be bringing in people that have zero experience in running the business going to help them?
Nah, I think you're right. Well said. There's a poll on Instagram going around. It says, were Red Bull and Christian Horner right to part ways now? What you say, James? Would you say yes, the time has come for change? No, Horner's still the right man for Red Bull? Or are you not sure? And I'll say how the Instagram votes go.
I think yes. I think this should have happened a while ago. I think all that stuff with the personal assistant was very ugly, and however that turned out, whether it, it's, I mean, I know it's going to go to a tribunal, and there's a media restriction on reporting on it at the moment. But I think when that all broke, or when that happened, whether it was true or false, it felt like that was like you can't really recover from
the first time you said that he needs to go as well. When that happens.
Drama's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Something along those lines, and then with the way the team's kind of been crumbling, people leaving. I mean, losing Adrian Newey is massive. He's been there almost as long as Horner. I think he joined like a season or two after Horner, didn't he? With potentially with a bit of help from David Coulthard. But yeah, I they've been on a downward trajectory since middle of last year. Drama started at the beginning of last year.
Still have Yuki though.
They do, yeah, but he's not delivering many things for them at the moment, is he? A handful of points. And sometimes some entertaining radio messages.
Well, that's even gone. They even killed off Yuki's entertainment on his radio.
They have,
because he doesn't say anything anymore.
That's how bad the second car is at Red Bull, and how cursed it is that
even the radio is broken.
No. Even destroyed Yuki's amazing radio messages and swearing. So yeah, I think he should have been gone maybe this time last year even, really. And I think Red Bull might have been in a different position if they had done that, because I think the problem with Horner is I think he probably started to feel like he was invincible.
Well, he's now getting paid to do nothing, so
well, yeah,
probably still is
long. How long before we see him back in the paddock is the next question, and will we see him back in the paddock?
They'll probably, with his experience at Red Bull, 20 years in the game, 20 years knowing everything from that team, they'll probably buy him off and not doing anything for a long, long while. my guess.
I mean, he was contracted. Graham, you mentioned this earlier on Discord, and I didn't know about this, but he was contracted until 2030. Was that right?
Yeah, that's what the reports were today. He was going to
Yeah.
get his new deal was 2030.
So
They'll probably keep
mean,
him in
that-
pay and leave on that period just to be
Yeah,
safe and don't.
I don't know how long it'll be because I mean, if he's getting removed rather than him trying to leave, that is the team ending his contract early. So he might have room for like a bit of wiggle room to negotiate an earlier, like effective finish.
I wouldn't know.
So,
I've never been in that position that someone says, you know what, let's stop, but we'll still pay you.
you're not in there. Okay.
No, unfortunately not.
I think he might be in another team, maybe part of the way through next year. A bit like when Adrian. Please don't go to Ferrari.
Please
I would
make my dreams come true. Horner and Lewis in the same team. Mate.
No.
I see Graham just smiling. He's looking at. I'm thinking about that idea. I was like, oh, that would be awesome.
I just couldn't cope with that mentally. I think that would be the end of.
You're turning a little bit white, mate.
I know. It's been a great.
Are you feeling well?
No, not thought of this. It's been a great, like almost 40 years at this point. I've been following this sport. One of my earliest memories is of this sport, and I will give up on it if Horner joins Ferrari. Whilst Lewis is still there, at least.
Well, the other.
Them on.
I mean, I'm not sure how long Lewis is still there either. So.
Well, if Lewis is gone and then Horner joins, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see Lewis and Horner in the same team. It's very difficult for me to.
We could do extra shows. We can do 2 shows a week when that happens. All the drama.
Right,
I could do an
Graham,
extra
you up
show
for that?
already about Lewis's messages with his engineer. So,
Yeah, true. Yeah, Ferrari need to make some big changes, but I don't think Horner is one of them.
No, look at him. Well, Graham, yes or no?
I think you will go with Ferrari. Just it's
No,
not.
no. The yes or no is supposed to be about whether he should have gone or not.
Also, he should have gone.
Please don't carry on with the Ferrari.
Oh, sorry, just because John brought up that last question, I completely forgot. I don't know. Like, it depends on what way it's a flip of a coin sort of situation because how successful they've been. Yeah, it's been bad recently, but he's been so successful that he's had opportunities to leave and he's stuck by them loyally. Yes, there's the whole situation with the PR last year, which isn't a good look. But there was new regs changes coming in. You could have said, give me the chance. Like, was it the wind tunnel's riddled with damp at the moment, so there are new tunnels not open until halfway through next year. So they're working with one hand tied behind the back there. Like I said, he's lost so many key people and no replaced them with anybody near the experience or talent. So
Got a new engine as well coming.
So you can feel hard done by, but maybe it's sort of like when Dennis was pulled from McLaren. Everybody thought maybe should have given him more time, could have done this, could have done that. But in the short term, it was still painful. Long term, it's worked out not bad now. So let's say it's a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
Well, it is actually when you look at the Instagram results, 8,000 people almost voted so far. And 43.92% says yes, the time has come for a change. So let's say 44%. 42% says no, Horner was still the right guy for Red Bull. But that's how much of coin flip it is.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll figure it out.
That comparison to McLaren is a good talking point as well, and really that could be.
Then I set that up, right? The new McLaren age sort of set, and then
but just looking at McLaren and what they've done over the last 10 years, and then particularly what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Zach Brown has actually been absolutely phenomenal for them, and they've made some really good hires lately. And this is what Red Bull's got to look at. They've got to look at other teams and what they've done, and learn from that. Well, not necessarily learn from them because it's not like they didn't know this already. But
it's the third most successful Formula One team, and
Yeah, they've just got to try and follow in McLaren's footsteps, get the right guy in, or the right person. Doesn't have to be Mill, whoever, and then start effectively rebuilding the top of the team, because it just goes back to what I said earlier on about how everything starts at the top, I think. And yeah, that's that. This is why I do think that Horner is ready to go, because he's not had a good look. There's been some problems, and that all starts at the top and it filters down. And yeah.
Yeah, plus the car isn't developing, but possibly even getting worse lately.
Yes.
And his choices and communication about second drivers isn't that all beyond all
Well,
either.
I mean, they've kind of ruined their program effectively for the.
No, Sainz. We can do a funny thing that I was thinking about. We got Sainz and Albon at Williams, right?
Yeah.
Both Red Bull Academy drivers, basically.
Yeah.
What if Max just goes to Mercedes and Mickey just brings in Albon, Sainz to Red Bull? That would be awesome.
Sainz, yeah, that would be fun to see. Actually, I think I'd like to see Sainz do that.
But he's not performing really terrific at Williams either.
He's struggling in that Williams, but he's not lost the ability to drive. I mean, he was phenomenal last season for Ferrari, to the point where it looked like they'd picked the wrong driver at times.
No, looking at the current results, they might still have.
Yeah, maybe.
But then,
and there's Gasly as well, who, former Red Bull driver, was given a quick shot in the car, dropped.
He was properly awful though in that car. Spun behind the safety car.
Everyone has been properly awful in the second.
Albon wasn't, in my honest opinion. I think almost got.
Well, he wasn't that bad. He
Yeah.
wasn't that bad, but he still wasn't great, was he? But yeah.
But even Max is complaining about the car, like putting on a razor's edge, and then he is still able to drive because he's so good. And,
he's got driver traits that can cope with it, but it doesn't mean it's comfortable or easy for him. Like he is working exceptionally hard to get the results that he's getting out of it, and he's able to get those because he's also exceptionally talented. You can't rely.
He's like you behind a microphone.
Exactly. It's like me just speaking on this podcast. No, not at all. And you can't expect to get two drivers that are able to do that. If you lose Max, what's the guarantee that you get even one driver able to do it? I don't think there is, really. I mean, I think if this whole talk about Max maybe going to Mercedes, and maybe Mercedes is going to drop Russell, and what will happen to Russell, and will Russell then will it effectively be a driver swap? I don't think Russell can do what Max is doing in that Red Bull at all. And we would see Red Bull potentially become a proper midfield team.
Well, the meme goes about Russell: you don't do anything, you come in third. Or this weekend, you don't do anything, you come in 10th. But I think you come in 10th if you don't outperform this car.
He's driving a Mercedes, which depending on the circuit and the conditions, has the potential to be one of the top cars on the grid. I'd say it's currently between Mercedes and Ferrari, which is the second best team, and that just depends on any given day. Like they don't have consistency, where McLaren is almost always the best team, and that's what's going to win them the championship.
We got many highlights this British Grand Prix, but my highlight, guys, have you seen that Haas do a double pirouette in the sink? That was absolutely amazing, Graham. I was saying Behrmans actually can get a good race. Unfortunately, he got a 10-grid place penalty. And he got back, but he also made sure they didn't get any points. What do you think about that one?
Rookie error. It was such a good weekend, and then just two silly mistakes. Like the highlights of Max watching Behrman going into the pit lane and making that error is just hilarious.
Yes.
Just absolutely hilarious. Max is just busting out.
He actually started laughing. That wasn't.
It's like little Lando, isn't it? It's like he does so much so good, and then he has these brain farts or like crisis of confidence and does something so silly that just costs him so badly.
That does sound like me on a podcast, by the way.
And I think he'd done well, but then he cost himself. He cost the whole team, actually.
He did, yeah.
Oh, they were looking so good this weekend.
I held up my 9 card for that synchronized pirouette, and it wasn't a 10 because as it came to the end, one of them was
Behrman stopped a really bit earlier.
Yeah, one of them was spinning just slightly slower than the others, and that's what ruined it. Otherwise, it would have been a perfect 10.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, being a team manager for that team could be a pain sometimes, though. Still, Ocon driving a good race once again. He is doing much better in that Haas than I actually assumed he could be. Last team I got a shout out is Aston Martin, looking on the way back lately.
Yeah.
Well, don't be too enthusiastic. Stroll had an amazing race.
So
I know it might be painful for you to actually say something about Stroll, but that was a good race, man.
No, he had a great race and he had a fantastic result, and he benefited very much from that, going on to soft tires early.
I know it hurts you so much to talk about Stroll that I actually have to.
No. Genuinely, he had a very good race. He did very well. He benefited from the conditions, but that's what the conditions. That's what happens in these sort of races. They kind of make their own luck sometimes by taking a risky decision. And the reason why I started to grimace a little bit as you brought up Aston Martin was because of Fernando Alonso once again.
He got screwed by the strategy.
Well, no, I don't think he did. He felt like he did, and he started throwing his team under the bus like he does, but he didn't. I don't think he could see the bigger picture. He was pitted basically the exact same way as the leading cars, and then he complained about the fact that Stroll Stroll ended up in front of him, and he whinged about that because he felt like it was like being victimized by the team is the way he effectively described it, because he was like, "Oh, this always happens to me though, doesn't it?" or something along those lines. So then the second round of stops for potentially pitting early, he gets that and he's all over the shop. He's spinning off track and going wide and having a rough time of it because they throw the hard tires on when it's still intermediate tire weather.
Maybe even wet, yeah.
Yeah. So it was double-edged sword for Aston Martin because Stroll had a great race.
Still 7 and 9.
Yeah, Fernando. Yeah, he did all right in the end, but I thought it was a bad look for him when he started complaining on the radio. But he does have form for it.
Last but not least, we're making this an extra long episode. Graham, is this the last time we saw our Argentina friend driving a Formula One car?
Has to be.
There goes half of our listeners, James, though.
It's sad. Go on, Graham.
He's given so many chances, and he looked so good in the Williams, but stalling it in second gear in the pit before the race even starts, like, come on. I know he's a rookie, but that's beyond rookie errors. Like, he's done nothing on note. That just, I feel bad for Doohan a bit now, given that. But
yeah, and been in it in qualifying as well. That he could have. He just took a massive risk to finish the lap, and he didn't need to. He started to lose the car. He kept his foot in, and that just compounded the error. All he had to do was come off the gas, and I think any of the
lap he did set was 1:27.06, and Hulkenberg was in front of him with half a tenth faster than that, even half a second faster than that. So there's half a second before he binned it. That's
when he binned it, when he did bin it, he still had time for another lap. So it was. I think that was inexperience. I think a lot of other drivers would have just sort of been aware of the time, been aware of what was happening, and thought, "Okay, I've screwed this up. I'll lose another set of tires." But they get given however many tires, and they're only going to use so many in qualifying anyway, aren't they? Yep. It's not like he's going to get all the way to Q3, so just just burn through them and use them. So
Well, that's what they do with Yuki Tsunoda these days. You just give him the best tires and just make sure you get up as high as possible as you can. Unfortunately, in Yuki's case, that wasn't that high either, but not 20th. No,
sorry, I kind of cut in on Graham answering that question. So if he's got any more to add to that, feel free.
Safe to say, Graham won't be wearing any blue Alpine shirts anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. I've actually preferred the pink stuff, to be honest. But he's done. The colours, the whole team's a mess as well right now. That I know they've got a new director coming in from the FIA to take over from Flavio, but the whole team's sort of a mess. That whoever comes in, the likelihood is they're going to struggle as well. Doohan struggled, wasn't given time to fix it. What was it? Colapinto was be fast, don't crash, get points.
He didn't either of those three.
Couldn't get points.
Be fast, no. Don't crash, no. Get points, no.
So who's next? Do they go for somebody like Bottas, try and cut Cadillac off, or do they give another rookie a go? I don't know. But Colapinto's done. I can't see him.
Okay. I'm thinking of who I want to see at Renault, which would be I think Piastri and Bottas doesn't make for good television, so please, this is just boring, right? Schumacher could be a nice one for Briatore, though. Get him into the team. Or Checo. Oh, well, no, I'm not going to go.
Not Schumacher. The way Flavio is, Schumacher already got hammered by Steiner, didn't he? So I don't think he needs to be thrown under the bus a second time with Flavio. I think Flavio shouldn't even be on the grid after what happened in Singapore that time, but apparently he managed to get that appeal, didn't he? But it's going off topic a little bit. I just think it's a bad look for Alpine to even have him involved in the team. He should never be back in Formula One. But
the only thing that looks good on Alpine is actually delivery.
Yeah, the pink, like Graham just said, is.
And Gasly outperforming this car once again in the rain.
Gasly had a great race. Yeah, he did.
Even
though he was getting frustrated in qualifying, wasn't he? Was it qualifying? He was getting a bit angry.
He got 10th in qualifying, I think.
I was just going to say, you're saying about Renault, is Alpine not moving to Mercedes next season?
Yes.
So I've got an interesting thing. Max goes, Russell stays, Kimi goes to Alpine as a sweetener on the deal.
Yes, Kimi Antonelli on the Flavio Briatore. That's going to be such...
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make it more interesting for you.
It's
Max
one way
goes to
to
Mercedes, and then we have Stroll stopping at Aston Martin, and we get Kimi to Aston Martin. I think that's much more likely.
Maybe.
Although Aston Martin moves to Honda, so actually...
I think Toto is all in on Antonelli.
Oh, on Max, I thought, did you say?
I think
he should be, though. He should.
Yeah.
Well, he's effectively been nurturing him up to this Mercedes seat since.
He's still pissed that he didn't get Max. He didn't sign Max back then.
He is, but then he's picked up Antonelli, and he's effectively been kind of by his side through the junior categories, or involved in some way through the the Mercedes kind of junior driver.
Can I say something controversial?
Sure.
I'm not a big Antonelli fan so far yet.
Well, that's only because he wiped out Max last week.
No, I'm just saying he didn't. He did a DNF here as well, eh? And he DNF'd at Monaco. Well, he didn't he got a podium, but lately it's not been that good.
No, he hasn't.
Hightower has been far more impressive for me than Kimi Antonelli has been, honestly.
I'd say Beerman's been better.
Beerman, yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, Antonelli, I can definitely see it, and the podium was great. But he's been making lots of mistakes lately, James.
Yeah, he started the season kind of building up to some good results. I think it was like 3 races in a row. He bettered the previous race as far as results go, and it was looking very positive for him. And then it's suddenly dropped off. Now, the thing I hate about these sort of conversations is because I mean, we have to have them, and we only have this data to go off. But it also feels like it's quite a small sample size when you look at how good he was doing at one point and now how poorly he's doing at this point. Was it a case that the first set of good results was a bit of luck and he was just on a good run and that's not normal? Or is it that he's on a bad run now and this is not normal?
But look at his stat. He's how many races did he win? 12 races now, right?
Yeah, midway
12
point of
races.
the season. Yeah.
So from those 12 races, 4 DNFs, right? And
Yep.
4 of those DNFs are in the last 6 races. So
Yes.
there's that.
a very
One of
bad
those last 6 races, he's got a podium. That's his highlight. But the other one he finished 18th. That's not too impressive. And then when you look at his race positions in the first 6 races, it's 4 6 positions, which nice, just on par with the Mercedes, like good.
Yeah, that's
well done,
about normal. Yeah.
right? And 111th position on Bahrain, which normally they should have performed better, but the whole Mercedes didn't perform that weekend. So the first half of this season so far was like on par, 1 podium, which was really good. The last 6 impressive, like not qualification, not on par, nothing special. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit too harsh, but then I look at Behrman this week, and he makes he makes the same mistakes, but also a couple of big highlights. Then I look at Hadjar, like, okay, he's been off form, but still stands out, right?
I think
Lawson is doing the other way now, so he's sort of putting the performance in we expect him from, and he made those mistakes. It seems Kimi is the other way around currently. Sorry, Karim, go ahead, mate.
Although Kimi's sort of, he's fortunate, but they've unfortunate that he's got the better seat out of all the rookies. So he's slightly judged a little bit more harsher. That he is a rookie, so he is going to have up and downs. But this season has been a lot of up and downs. Hulk, that Sauber were back markers. They got a good couple of upgrades, and now Hulk's pushing for podiums. He's been finishing top 10. So the season has fluctuated because even the Williams, they started off so well and they're struggling really badly now. So he is a rookie, but I think he's got a bit of a poison chalice where he's going to be deemed a little bit better because he is in the Mercedes. But I did say I prefer Bierman. I think Bierman has done better, but then Bierman's in a lesser car. So I think it's like James said, you've got to take everything in context. And I think to judge him right now is a bit harsh. I think we've got to give him the full season, but he could do better. He ends in the better car, but again, he's a rookie.
I think you can also judge any rookie, no matter which car they are, in consistency. And then look at Behrman, which we know it doesn't have the fast car, but he's 14th, 8th, 10th, 10, 13, 1 DNF, then 17, 17, 12, 11, 11, 11, 11. And so, like, I can see a rising line there with only 1 DNF in a car that you are more likely not to finish with anyways. Bortoletto has been not super special, but consistent lately. Like he finished his first couple DNF, of course. But then it's been 18, 14, 12, 14, 8. There's an upgoing line there. Kimi is, for me, the only one that really stands out. Is the other way around currently. And don't get me wrong, I do hope I like the guy as well, James. I like you see him in interviews, and he's got that maybe Senna sort of thing in him where I'm like, oh man, this could be one of those guys. But I do think it's not bad to be critical at some of these performances either. And I'm not even recurring to the Max stop. I mean, he goes wide, he over brakes, it happens. And that's not even. But this week wasn't good either. So
no, but I think one thing, looking at the result of the British Grand Prix, who are the other DNFs? So we've got Antonelli, we've got Hadjar, we've got Bortoletto, we've got Lawson, we've got Colapinto. What do they all have in common? They're all rookies. This race, I mean, Behrman did absolutely fantastic
until one moment. Yeah,
that was a race and conditions for experienced drivers. And that was proved by the result of the race. Like those sort of
That is true.
sorts of mixed conditions, expecting a driver to come in and put slicks on when it's still slippery, and there's get out there and try not to lose positions or try and make up time on the cars ahead and stuff. It was a very difficult race, and I think looking at it this weekend in isolation, I don't think you can really fault him for a DNF there, because pretty much all the other rookies did the exact same thing. As far as the season goes, I agree with Graham that I think we need to let the season play out and possibly just see how he does next season. Like the first season is always a learning season for a rookie moving up to Formula One, and I think really.
I'm not saying he should be replaced. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but the other thing I was going to say as well, though, is that all these rumors flying around about Max, I don't think they help, because he's potentially a driver that could get dropped for Max. So then he's either having pressure piled on him, or he's piling pressure on himself potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is all part and parcel of being in a top team. Which can't be kind of ignored. Which is the sort of stuff that somebody like Behrman's not getting in a Haas, that maybe Hadjar to some extent would be getting in a Racing Bull, because Red Bull apply pressure to everybody all the time. But Bortoleto, I suppose, in Sauber, maybe not as much.
Unless his teammates getting podiums, then might add.
Well, yeah, and obviously Colapinto has had pressure put on him by Flavio, basically saying, "Do this or you're out."
In the next 4 races, and he's been just looking.
But at least to do this isn't put it in the wall in Singapore.
True,
which I'm never going to let die. So, but yeah, so I think I that's like what Graham was saying. Like we're comparing drivers just because they're rookies, but also they're in very, very different situations based on their team and what their car is capable of. So, yeah, Antonelli's had a rough start, but I still rate him as a driver. I find him exciting to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of his career pans out.
I think we all want to see his career getting a good one, though. Eh? Okay, quickly, we're going to Belgium in 2 weeks now. Yes, my favorite track, of course, of all time, if I've not mentioned that ever before. Quick predictions, and then we go out for this show.
Yep.
I'm going to do it different this time. Graham, who's going to win? Who's going to be on pole?
Oscar.
Who's going to win it, Graham?
Lando.
Oh, interesting. So, Oscar, Lando, and who's going to bin it first?
Tempted to say Colapinto, but I doubt he'll be there. So I'm tempted to go with Williams. I'm going to say Albon. They're just having terrible form. Car's not that great. Albon.
James. Who's going to put it on pole?
I'm going to go with George Russell.
I said pole position. That's first to start first, right? Just making sure we're aligned there. Okay.
Had a great race there last year, apart from the fact that he didn't quite have enough fuel to keep the win. But
okay, interesting one. Definitely gonna net you some points if you get it right, though. So George from Paul, who's gonna win it?
Gonna go with.
After all you said, you almost have to say.
Do we think Max is going to take his engine penalty there, like he almost always does?
Yes.
But he's not fighting for the championship.
Exactly.
So do you think he doesn't, so that he can try and
it's
get
the Netherlands after it. So it's Hungary, where you don't want to take it. And then it's Netherlands, so you got to take it here.
So I want
But I think more people will take it, actually. So.
All right, I'm going to go with Lando then.
Breaking open the championship. Interesting. It's going to be the first DNF.
First DNF? I'm going to go with a frustrated Fernando Alonso.
Interesting.
And it's the team's fault.
That's always the team's fault. Okay, pole position is going to be Max. He's like me. This is the only track he drives on the sim. Thing next to the Nürburgring. So, high downforce track, or low downforce track. That's why I don't get it right every time on the sim either. But I think he's able to put that Red Bull through some hopes there, which definitely with the high speed should be able to get in the pole position. However, I don't think he can win it there because I expect either, again, torrential rain, and then there's no go, or it's going to be very hot at Spa, and then the Red Bull will just die off against those McLarens. So I'm going to say it's a revenge of the Oscar, which means Piastri will win this Grand Prix. And I'm going to say that I almost have to do this. Kimi Antonelli would be the first one to win.
And that's why Max doesn't win. In your eyes.
I'll see you back in 2.5 weeks, guys. Thank you so much for being here today.
Later.
Graham, thanks for getting dressed up for the occasion. We might have to follow that example soon, Jay. We should get some polos.
I'll get some Ferrari merch. I'll get my Lego built as well.
Yeah, I need one more though. This weekend I built the Sauber, of course.
Yep.
I got only the Haas left to build, and the big Red Bull. And now I'm like, either going to build the Red Bull before I go on my holiday, or wait until the Haas gets a podium at Spa and do it there.
Haas podium at Spa. Interesting.
No, I'm going to build it tonight. Make sure the collection is done. Guys, see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.